Be nice if I mute it. Good afternoon, everyone. Hoping you are able to come in. Hello, hello. Thank you for coming in. We are going to take a second or two and share out like we always do. And then we will get started on our Crownsville report for the evening. I do have a lot of good things coming up. There we go. We have a lot of good artifacts and historical stuff that I was able to snag up from the archive place that I was at a few weeks back. So that is always a plus. Hey, Mom, share out when you get a chance. Help bring some more people in. Tonight is going to be a very interesting night. Sorry, I just ate. Literally just ate. It's not what I wanted. Hope everybody is having a fantastic week. Can't say weekend. I was going to, but I wasn't. If you have your Twitch account, been there, done that. Thank you, Mom. If you guys have your Twitch account, please go ahead and hop on that. If you're able to do both, then do both. If not, I completely understand. 204 subscribers. Yay! So again, tonight we'll be talking about from the opening to all the hidden history that people may not know about, and up until when it closed. There was a lot, and I mean a lot of stuff that went on there. So we will discuss all of that. I went and took a nap, Mom. My head has been really just, it has not been in the right state of mind. I'm pushing myself now to do this, so. Sherry. But this is a good show, and I wanted to definitely show it out and share it. Hey, Wizard's Table, how you doing? Thank you for coming in. I am just sharing out for a moment, and then we will get started like I always do. Give me a quick second. Excellent. My phone wants to cooperate. I can share it out. It froze on me. What's going on here? There. Thank you all for coming in. I am so glad we have a big damn computers. I know. It sucks. Sometimes I want to chuck it out the window. My husband tells me no. But, what am I to do? All right. So tonight is all about the famous Crownsville. And it is a very interesting place because I have been wanting to. Hey, Sam. I have been wanting to investigate it. And because people like to hide and sneak in through the tunnels underneath, they have caged those off, obviously. And they now are highly secured with security that ride around. And Chad can tell you, we just rode up in there looking like a lost horse. I had my phone out taking pictures like, oh, hey, we made a wrong turn. Yeah, no, we were just trying to see what we could do. Well, within 2 seconds of us being in the parking lot on the property, somebody pulled up behind us and was like, can I help you? You need to leave. You're not supposed to be here. Well, there's reasons to that. A lot of people seem to come on the property and like to vandalize it, which is wrong. There is a cemetery on there. Of course, all hospitals. Some, I can't vouch for all, but have morgues, and this one specifically has the morgue that has a bridge crossing over to the cemetery, where back in the day, that's how they would transport bodies, on the wheelie table right across the bridge into the cemetery, from the morgue to the cemetery. Some of them do not have names. Some of them are, I don't want to say hidden, but unmarked. Back then they didn't mark them. There's When they first opened, and they opened in 1911. Maryland opened its hospitals for the colored insane in 1911. The first 12 patients were from Spring Grove faculty, and 111 inmates from other jails and other asylums. Yeah. Graves are marked only. The numbers currently working on to determine who was buried at this site. So back then, if they didn't know your name, and you didn't come in with your paperwork or whatnot, they would bury you and say, well, John Doe is 1, and John Smith is 2. It's just, if they didn't know, Nellie was committed there from the nervous breakdowns back. Yeah. Sam, this should be. I have a lot to go through. So I was able to actually, and I'm not going to, because this is somebody that was actually there back in 1923. That was the death date, is what they called it. Death date. Birth date, death date. They do not have the birth date on here, nor do they have the age, but they do have the name, and I will not expose that, just for, with family members and stuff like that, just out of respect. But this is what I was talking about. John Doe, grave plot, row plot grave 1. So that was pretty much that. Graves are marked with numbers. Determined she and her assistants and researching death records in the Maryland State Archives, which I have also done, and I have an entire list. And it's just going, I think it's the first 100 sites, and I thought it was really unique on how they buried them. It's literally 1 to 100. And if it was a couple, it's 1 and 1A. 2, 2A. That's how they were buried back then. If they wanted to stay together and they wanted to be buried together and they were in the hospital, that's how they would do it back then. And I think that was really unique, because they kept them together, even though, we all believe that if you pass over and you want to be with your loved one, you're, the whole eternity thing. So a lot of that happens. Determine on who dies in a residence, resides at the hospital. Currently, she is building a database over 1,500 African American burials that are unmarked graves at Crownsville Hospital. And this one, it doesn't say a date. Of course it don't say a date. Why would it say a date? So there's that one. But there's also, this was back when I guess they started opening, because this one does maintain 1913. Patients remain under care. September 30th of 1912, the colored men, 143. So they literally had inventory. I never heard of a hospital having inventory. Care records and such like that, I guess if you call that inventory, that's one thing. But back then, they literally had inventory on, and this is how strict they were back then. They did it by who you are, what you are, and went from there. If you believed I'm a white witch, that's how they're going to label me, because that's how they think that we're all crazy, because that's how they did it back then. So They decided, Arundel decided against taking Crownsville site. There is different communities that wanted to take Crownsville. We are going to be hopping around just a smidget because of how I have things organized. I do apologize. Today has been a crazy day for me, so just bear with me. There is two companies that wanted to take this hospital and its land over 125 acres, over, probably more than that, but that was what I got here, but I believe it's more. They wanted to take it over because they felt that they could actually do something with it. One was a horse farm. Why? Because they're right next to, in Anne Arundel County, fairgrounds. Literally right next to it. So you got the hospital, street, more of the hospital, and right behind that is the fairgrounds. And that continues to go 500 some odd acres. So that's a pretty large thing. And they wanted to add the horsing part onto that for housing and racing and stuff like that. That was going to possibly be like, if you guys seen it, any of the horse racing, horse tracks. I grew up around it, so I know. Laurel is a famous one in Maryland, and Pimlico, and New York and Florida and all that. They have their stables and stuff. Well, that's what they wanted to do here. Well, it fell through because it was too much to knock down everything, to level it out, and then to rebuild. And the fairgrounds didn't have that money. So with that, they broke through. The next one was they were going to do 547 acres. Yeah. See, I told you, I thought it was more. They wanted to build a public work, as in the county wanted to take over and put like their county work there. But instead of knocking the buildings down, this would take them to reuse the buildings that are there. Okay. So that was essentially that. They would use the buildings that are there because some of the buildings are being used. One is a nursing home that I used to work in with a couple of clients of mine. And it's a really nice place. It really is. But they have the rest of it. That is still a lot of acreage. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what you see from the road doesn't compare to what if you were allowed to walk on the property. And I am still talking to county and all that and permit stuff, and it's quite a bit. But I think if I would be able to at least do the cemetery and the bridge and, the morgue, it would, put some light on some things, a little bit of the subjects. So we're still working on that and try to collaborate on doing a show. Maybe that will be one of our first TV shows, which we are still working on. So this is about the horse park that they were going to do. City officials get their way and shut down the hospital complex in Crownsville. Will become a state permit inquiry facility. Mayor Elaine Meyer this week reveals, mind you, this was back in 2005, Capitol. They need to knock it down with all of the lead and asbestos that is there. Unfortunately, it is probably registered as a historic site and or soon will. It is actually. I actually have that. It has a certificate. It was very much it wasn't that long ago that they actually did that though. That they went because everybody kept saying, I want to knock it down, I want to do this, I want to do that. I want to put there's apartments and the nurses' housing that was there when I actually worked for, and this is when I was with the last company I was with. She was actually a nurse from Crownsville. and she walked me through her entire day. And the entire time I was there, that's all we were talking about because she was so unique in what I was doing and so fascinated. She said that there is housing, nurses' housing on that property, and it's on the left-hand side behind registration building. And that is where they would house the nurses that were either affected. There was one off. If you go in to the left, on to the right side, there is a building. If they were affected by any type of disease that was there, they would treat them in a separate housing. But these housings were like any other apartments that we would have, if you were in a low grade area. So she said that, she got affected because she got cut. And it was an accident. It wasn't anything, but they took precaution and bandaged her up, and it was cut pretty bad, she said. She still had the scar. She wouldn't let me take a picture of it. She said that was kind of weird. I'm sorry. I'm weird. I'm nothing abnormal. Sorry. I don't know that word. So she just told me the story about it. And, it was just so unique on how, you never realize on a lot of people these days in their history. And she's like, I was a nurse there. And then she told me the head nurse that was there. She gave me his name and his number. So I'm working with him on possibly getting in there. But it was just so unique on how to learn things and you didn't even know. It was right, and I was only a filler for that one. And I had her for the entire week. And it was only for like 2 hours a day. But by the time I got done, I felt like I knew the woman for like years. And it was so, and she even had her Crownsville badge. I mean, I was, I'm like, what? And it was, she goes, I will never get rid of that badge. The outfit, she had to. It was hideous, she said. But, and that was just so wild. I enjoyed that so much, and I've never paid so much attention to what they say. Yeah, granted, I love their stories, so I do pay attention, but this was like eye contact. Like, can I take notes? But they also, Crownsville also wanted to turn the area that their property is on into a solar field. So the whole 574 acres was going to be nothing but solar panels. And that would help with the Anne Arundel County area. But that one actually got turned down because they said that would be too much. So we are going to flip over. Where are we at? I am going to share some pictures with you. This is the first one I'm going to share is a cemetery of forgotten, received respect at long last. Nope, not that one. Is that it? That's it. Oh, it's showing me too many pictures. I can't do that. So this one right here, I'm going to bring it up screen, hope to, is a family, an entire tent full, and this is actually at Crownsville. And they are paying their respects for the people that have passed there. The hospital graveyard to be presented as a historic site. This is done in 2004 by the Sun. For almost a century, they were the forgotten ones. Nearly 2,000 African American men, women, and children buried in the cemetery of Crownsville Hospital Center. Their lives marked only by the anonymous stone that dotted the grassy, secluded graveyard. Yesterday, beneath the cloudy blue sky, a crowd of more than 100 state officials community leaders, mental health care workers, and historian. I see that's going to be a hard one. Gathered. There we go. Were the grounds of the former hospital to dedicate the cemetery as a historic site. So they did. And they didn't just end with the cemetery. After they got done, they wind up doing the entire place as a historic place. So that's why it's hard to come across on wanting to build something there, because it's a historic place, and now you have all these rules, rights, and laws to go with, and it's hard to do so. More important, to those who pushed for the distinguished, they gathered to promise that the patients buried there will in fact always be remembered. There is a very important and significant day because we're setting aside the portion of these grounds to treat these people in a respect and dignified way, said State Health Secretary Nielsen. We should treat people, this is our favorite words, we should treat people the way we want to be treated. When they left 2 months ago, and that's where that one ends. Let's see if it'll let me go over. Nope, I have to reshare. So at this point, this is where they were just paying their respects, doing the right thing, and I think it was very important for them to do so, because it doesn't take a lot to go over there. I mean, if they have a mental illness. We've talked about this before when we did Forest Haven. Just because you have a mental illness does not mean anything at all. Let's go down. Let's see. Hey, Christina. How you doing, hon? Thank you for joining. I'm trying to see. What's this? I think it's this. Let's see. Give it a shot. Yep, this is it. So this is a gentleman, or a young lady. Sorry, it's the jacket. That went out and paid her respects to some graves that are out here. As you see, that is one tombstone. And then searching for the names of grave members. These are the ones that I was talking about. They have a little engraving on them, and that is pretty much how they were buried. In history, they is trying to identify the dead buried at Crownsville Hospital Center, which originally housed only Black patients. So back then, as we know and have read in history, that a lot of hospitals like these were very strict on who went where. All right, Ma. An 89-year-old Neo Hacken was missing, buried in the hillside cemetery of anonymous graves, where the only regular visitors are the wind, the autumn leaves, and the man who mowed the lawn. No one knew he was there. No one was looking for him. But nearly 3 years ago, historian Janice Williams set out to find the names of hundreds of African American men and women sent to their state hospital in Crownsville, and eventually buried there in numbered nameless graves. She didn't know whether it was an impossible task, and she started in a no particular hurry. Now she is rushing to finish. State health officials state last week, and mind you, this was done years ago, that they plan to close near the nearly century-old Crownsville Hospital Center, once called the hospital for the Negroes. Insane, black insane. As early as July, if it closes, the land around is likely to be sought by developers despite the state's announced intentions to preserve it. To accommodate her goals of having a memorial erect at the cemetery site along Interstate 97, which is not far from us, Hayes Williams figured she had better finish soon. Our history is always the first to go, said Hayes, a 46 who specializes in African American heritage. Our big question is, who is going to maintain this? Since beginning the project, she has been shocked to discover that the cemetery would be much larger in the compress of so many Crownsville patients hadn't been sent to the University Hospital in Baltimore. So there is a university in Baltimore, which isn't far from here. It's a very nice one too. For experience, apparently they're on their brains experiments. So they were going to try different things and send people different ways and, figure it out, I guess. But she was hearted to determine that she is likely to uncover the names to every patient buried in this secluded cemetery by digging through death certificates, which they had some of those too. I say some of them, but they had at least 50 death certificates in this archive that I did. But out of respect for the patients and their families and whoever may be around, I just felt that it was right to just leave those. If we go find history on the place, that's fine. But as far as digging up a patient, that to me, that's just, it's interesting, but I don't think I would, to the world type thing. That there is enough information to compile a list that is completed, or at least nearly completed. She expects to find at least 1,400 patients. That is a lot of patients, especially unmarked. That's a lot. There needs to be a monument on this site with everyone's name on it, she said. The state General Assembly found Crownsville in 1910 after reports by the state. Yeah. So that was pretty neat. This lady was very dedicated in her job, obviously, and very much loved what she did, because she would not have been so dedicated to do what she did. This is another one. I will share what I can, but others that I cannot share will be in our subscription, which after I am done here, I will put it in our link. And if you would like to see the other archives that I have, which are a little personal, but I do feel that if I put it into the archive, into the subscriptions, you guys can go and read all of that as well. So this right here is obviously a man and a woman making the the body caskets. There you go, caskets. So this is what they would do. History of body lays at mental hospital. And this is how they were buried. They would make their own. Obviously, there's tons of material back here. Tiffany's hand. That's funny. So this was also recorded in 2005. That is Janice, the reporter, and this is Paul, the examiner. They're examining a coffin left at the hospital. You are more than likely to leave Crownsville through death than discharge. That's exactly what they say, and that's pretty sad. History of body lies at mental hospital. Let's see. Crownsville now in the condition at should have some system like the property today and the usage of the paper's crumbled. Hey mom, I'll show you what I'm talking about, though. You don't think I can't read, because I can read. It's just hard to read a paper that's so crumbled. Yeah. I thought I was straightened out until I started reading it, and I was like, oh no. But this is essentially what we were looking at up here with them making the casket. Not a big deal. Okay, they're stomping and stomping and stomping. Somebody just went upstairs. So this is a patient looking outside. And that was all they had. That's it. They didn't have anything else. They used little cages, what we call wire fencing. Yeah, wooden coffin, exactly. These are on, and it's still there. You see them as you drive past. You can see this place, and I really want to go there because there was another YouTuber that went there and was walking on the road. As long as you're on the road and you're taking pictures, you're fine. So I was thinking about doing that and getting some live photos, but I haven't really done that yet. The hospital was assembled in 1910. Patients, it just kept growing. It went from 521 into 1920 to 2119 to 1955. So as it went up here, it went down here, the patients. So as they were dying off, obviously. At one point, 30% of the patients died at the hospital. Patients built caskets to bury the bodies. Hey sis, welcome, welcome. 103 patients were subject to insulin shock treatments in force to cure their epilepsy, which obviously a lot of us know that did not work because they wound up dying. Thank you for sharing. And this is the other thing, the feeble-minded, like what Forest Haven did, they did it here too. Or at least they tried. Even as late as 1963, children were being injected with hepatitis. So that was another thing. They tried everything in their power to do. Yeah, I'm good. I'm just, everything that I have here is from our archive. I'm good. I hope you're doing better. So this is what they call a tragic chapter. Let me show it. Now it looks like it's taped. I know. This is a Crownsville Hospital that is now shut down. It opened up back in 1912, I think I said. Oh, don't quote me. I read a lot already. 1911. Thank you, babe. I just said 1911. Did you not hear me? Yeah, death therapy was a very popular thing back in that time. If they could not cure you with the proper medicine, they essentially went another route, which is very sad because a lot of men and women, and then later on in time, children as they go on. So I am going to share this. Again, this paper is, why did you light all up yellow? There we go. So this is tragic chapter about the young man. I heard you, 1911. I just said it. Okay. Crownsville State Hospital story includes a long error in an African American with mental illness where were warehoused. One imagine shows African American lounging on a grass on Family Day. Again, it's taped here, so it is kind of a little hard to see, but I am trying. In another photo, obviously strange, nurses attend to a smiling patient dressed in a coat and tie. So they treat different ones. I guess it depended on the state of their mental illness and what I guess the doctors decided they deserved, which I think is wrong because they all should have been treated, the same. Another snapshot shows an adult into a wall, chained, that's a CH, to a wall. A child with her frere trapped to a chair. Aww. Man crammed into a windowless dorm room. So they definitely did not treat these people very, very nice. Again, I apologize for the reading. Somebody ripped it and then taped it. Was not me, I swear to it. This was life at what became known as Crownsville State Hospital, now a group of buildings boarded up and crumbling of General's Highway. Yes, it is definitely falling apart. Neither the state nor the county seems to want any parts of the old asylum, but local historians Paul and Janice are on the mission to keep its story alive. Missing records, and as State Bureau intended of closing off patient records, haven't deterred them. They planned a memorial those who lived most of their lives at the hospital and those buried at the cemetery, in the cemetery. I'm attempted to save Black history, which is the rightful thing to do. We don't want to see this disappear. Lurs came to Crownsville State Hospital in 1964. This is around the same time, maybe a few years shy of when Forest Haven opened. So you've got to imagine what happened after they closed where everybody was being sent. As a student social worker, he rescued boxes of records before the hospital was abandoned and turned them over to the Maryland State Archives, which some of them are still locked up till this day. and I'm still trying to get a hold of a lot more records because I really do think these asylums and hospitals that are in my area, there's quite a few of them. This isn't all of them. I do have abandoned towns too, where he worked part-time categorizing records. Hayes Williams, a native Annapolis and descendant of slaves and free blacks, have been on a quest to identify the patients buried on a hill on a former tobacco and willow farm. I only gotta do a little at a time because I gotta zoom in. At one time, 30% of the patients died at the hospital. What happened at the National's third asylum for African American wasn't unique for the time, and wasn't considered an incident of people who managed it. Whatever. But at its worst, the hospital, see, I can't read that, to how African Americans who were sick and mentally ill were abandoned and used for experimental research. So again, they would house them and keep them for the wrong reasons. They won't keep them to help cure them. They would keep them to experiment on them, like they were their guinea pigs, which I think were definitely the wrong thing to do. The modern medical professionals would find repulsive. So that, that was just absolutely wrong of what they used to do to them. Absolutely wrong. Nope, that's not it. I think that's it. Bring it up. Cancel. Let's get rid of you. So yes, if you guys would like to see any of these archives, go in after I'm done here. I will send the link and post it underneath this. And with the subscriptions, you will have access to everything. Yes, the Maryland, this probably goes for any asylum and any mental illness hospitals back then in that time era that I have researched through archive and historians. Hey, honey. You've been watching on my TV and I don't know how to comment from the. You can't comment from the TV, sweetheart. I do. I try that all the time and it doesn't work. Yelling at the TV does not work. We don't absorb it. It's nice to see you in here, though. Hey, Kathy. So I give you a little insight on, what I do. Tiff and I, since she's been out of school, now Rosie, we have been going to the historic and archive place in our area. We have 3 of them. One of them is out of state, which is working on the big project. And then there is the local one, which is where I got this in Forest Haven from. And another one, which is just something Tiffany was interested in. It was a mall, and now it's a shopping center, and now, it's just how it progressed. So, when I researched, I did not expect Forest Haven, and I guess I wasn't really looking for it to be, but Forest Haven and Crownsville seems to be a very similar, and I do say very similar in the way they worked with their patients. Now, the difference in between that is Forest Haven actually had separate housings for them. 6 of them go live in a house and, try to live a life like normal. But also, they have their cages and jails and, their little cells that they would put them in with no windows and the doors, like I showed you, with the cages on them. And, that was pretty much it. So it was just pretty sad on how they handled that. And Crownsville is no better. No better. Because with Crownsville, they essentially use them, like we're hearing, as this is from the children's ward. You see the little stuff. And that is the cage to go around. I would assume that would be, hold on, let's see. Art by long depart histic. I'm going to say, I don't know. Surviving of the nurse station. And many a walls on one ward at Crownsville. So this must have been the children's ward. Sorry, my thumb's in the way. And this is where they would eat. That is a nurse. So, and that's 82. Like I said before, they were not, Crownsville was for anyone an AA descendant of Anne Arundel County, where as far as Haven was people of DC. Yes, that is so true. So, like we were saying before, they did not name the patients when they buried them. They got numbers. And that is the sad part. At least they got something here. What year did they finally close? In the 1960s. I don't want to say 64, but that does sound right. Because I just read something on that. That's why I said it. But yes, it did not. It opened and it stayed open for a while there. And then they had to build on and build on and build on to continue to have people come in. And that's where the 574 acres came about. And now they have unmarked graves with just numbers on them and no names to go with them. And that's where there is a historian and I never knew that. Wow, it's unbelievable. Really. Yeah. Forest Haven was another one we did last week, which is very interesting as well. So yeah. And I enjoy doing this. It brings light to all this. This photo is of 1932. Photo shows Crownsville when it was Maryland's sole hospital for Black mental patients. It became a state's most crowded mental hospital. Oh, it closed in 2004. I was way off. So this one was committed here, but he went to World War II. Is what this said right here. Pull it up so you guys can read it. It is a little wrinkly, so I do apologize for the wrinkles. Yeah. My daughter was a year. Tiffany. Yeah. So, I mean, I will put all this in the subscriptions. That way, if you guys want to use this as you wish for your own shows or anything of that sort, just, they're going to be there. Come on, cooperate with me. These pictures don't want to drag. Oh, ooh. You don't want to drag and cooperate. Crownsville was still open when I was in school and was a joke if you acted up. Well, you're going to bring a good light to my mother's laughter. And now that I remember this, when I was a teenager when they were still open, and my mother used to take me out driving when I had my learners. And somehow we ended up from Pasadena all the way over to Crownsville. Still won't know to this day how we did it, but we did. And I always told her that if she wasn't good, I'd drop her off on the front door and told her I brought her patient back. And she would laugh at me still to this day. And I told her, she still don't behave. I'll take her back. I'm pretty sure they miss her. But that was just a joke, But do have a few more. Not that many, just a few. Just a few. Yeah, this is 2004. Okay. So this is what the hospital looked like. The hospital center once stated facility for the African American mental patients was closed by state 2004 as a cost-saving measure, so they say. Cemetery on the grounds has been designed as a historical site. So this is what Crownsville looked like. It's wide windows. This is probably their meeting grounds, which was pretty awesome. A few more. I have to do it individually because of the way I downloaded things. You know how things like to act up. Historical sites, new plans. This is where they were talking about. This is the Maryland State Horse Park is what they wanted to put it. This barn, as the grounds of the former Crownsville Hospital Center, could become part of Maryland State Horse Park. So they were going to turn this big barn looking thing, a barn, into it and probably use that little one back there, but they never did. And it's honestly, I think this part is the only part that's still standing. I really don't think this is there anymore, but I could be wrong. Many structures on Crownsville grounds, such as the highest Young building, this is where they were to keep the kids, were designed by a noted architectural firm in Baldwin. So that was pretty nice. Now they send people to Shepherd Pratt, which is, yeah, Shepherd Pratt is still open. I don't remember when they originally opened though. That's one thing. I don't remember when Shepherd Pratt opened, so maybe I can go and get the archives for that. I really feel that this is interesting and important to get the stuff out about this. They finally did do a dedication ceremony. You're lucky that they are closed because you got to deal with me now. Yeah, I know. A simple graves at Crownsville Hospital Center may remain anonymous, but at least they'd be cared for. Yesterday, state officials held a dedicated ceremony for those. They have closed a lot of their sections, and that is more due to structural and not having the funds to take care of it. They are one of the most packed at the moment. Gnat around. Gnat. So, and that's mainly, I found that out from Hopkins is overwhelmed because of the employee. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's not very many asylums around anymore. I think they're the only two. I will definitely look into that, and maybe that'll be something we look at. If there's specific topic that anybody would like for me to look into, please, all means, give me some homework. Let me know what you want to see. I'd be more than happy. I love doing research. Hence the reason why Tiff and I spent 4 hours. And then after the 4 hours, all right, only 2. Yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't think there was any more. I only remember the 2. Tiff and I spent 4 hours, if not more, in the one archive place. And Kathy, I did get the post that you sent. I am going to look into there. To go into the archive place in Annapolis, you have to make an appointment. If not, you do walk-ins. There's a chance that you will be turned away. And because of gas being so high, y'all know the struggle on that. So I'm not going to waste. I'll just make an appointment and go. But yeah, after 4 hours, Tiff's like, Mom, are you done? I was like, this is why I leave kids home. Because no, I was not done. She's like, but I got to go to the bathroom. They don't have a bathroom here. Like, that's not my problem. Sorry. So this is the last picture I will show you guys, hopefully. Because this is the actual graves in the cemetery. All of these are their little tiny headstones. And each one, just like it says here, it's either the date or, how it's numbered and stuff like that. Grave markings were buried under 6 inches of dirt until the crew of volunteers rediscovered the cemeteries of Crownsville Hospital. Nearly 500 of them, more than 3,000 estimated graves, have been located. So they did not take the time to bury these guys very, very well. Oh, Shepherd Pratt opened in 1975. Good job, Aunt Kathy. Thank you so much. See? Y'all are my little researchers and don't even know it. So eventually I will try my best to get here. And even if it is just to walk around and take a picture, hey, I make accomplishments, It's better than nothing. And that's, it's pretty much how it goes. Shepherd Pratt. Shepherd Pratt, Ellicott City, opened in 1906, formerly known as Tyler Manor. Oh, no wonder you know that. Oh, I know why. Your mama. No, she did not go there. What? All right. He was talking, I didn't hear him. So it is that time for me to hop off. If you guys would like another history, let me know. I would be more than happy to do the work. I enjoy it. I don't know. I'm crazy like that. I just enjoy the history. Share some love. Hit that follow button if you have not done so already. What did you say? My mom used to work for Dr. Ted. I know. That's what I was saying. That's why I remembered it. That's right. I forgot about that. When we were younger, I remember kids went there. Yeah, it's sad, but what are you to do? But I am going to hop off. I love each and every one of you. Thank you guys for coming in and enjoying the history. I will look into other archives. Shoot me a message through Facebook or email if you would like a special report. And I will see you guys again later. Love you guys.